Hello and welcome. Here we are again, the Marianne and Corinna show. And we had a really cool conversation yesterday and cooked up the theme, are you receiving yourself? And what does receiving mean? I mean, on the one hand, receiving requires that we don't have any walls up and that we do not judge ourselves. I mean, those are the two very basic requirements. And it was really interesting. And as we talked, to become aware of all the different ways that we stop receiving ourselves. And it's small stuff, it's very subtle, and it was really baffling, at least for me, how much I stop receiving myself. And if I stop receiving myself, I also stop receiving. Because if I can't receive myself, what else can I receive?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we really had an interesting exploration. Do you want to share what you remember from yesterday, Mary?
Oh, Karina, what a question. Remembering things of yesterday. I can't even remember what was 5 minutes ago. But
I can
hey,
relate.
yeah, and it's not important if we can go with the energy. I remember energies. I can still go with the energies and tap into the energies we spoke to. And one of the energies that at least was for me really it is still going on, and it was for a longer time, as though my demand of myself to become more clear on the energy of receiving. Yes, receiving. And so many times I heard, yeah, but do you really receive? Do I really receive?
Yeah.
As the, do you really receive? So it was an energy that intrigued me, and yeah, that I loved to explore and still love to explore. And from there, there was something in our conversation that I got clear on for me as like, yeah, when we not when we are not willing to receive ourselves, then there is no receiving, as
Mhm.
though, yeah, it's due to ourselves, due to our body in communion with the being, we are receiving a lot. And it took me a step further, as though where there is true receiving, there is gifting, and where there is gifting, there is receiving. So that brought me to the question also, but do I really gifting myself to me? Am I really willing to
Mhm.
gift me to me in order I can receive myself? And that was a really interesting energy and a game changer for me, as though noticing of what clients saying or what people, friends saying, etc., of what they receive from me. Still, I did not receive myself and not even received what they were gifting me, as though, yeah, as I not
Mm.
receive myself, I
Yeah.
can't even acknowledge the gift I am, because I don't gift it to myself. But others can perceive the gift of me. So they can receive from that perceiving. But am I really gifting and receiving at that time when I'm not allowing myself to give me to me and receive myself to me? I know it's a complex thing, but it opened up so much more for me. It was a game changer in everything, as where there is not receiving of the self, how much do we stop receiving in general, as in gifting at the same time?
And listening to what you said, what that brought up for me is acknowledging is not quite receiving. While I was listening, I got that there is a mental aspect, at least for me, when I acknowledge myself. There is not that energetic receiving of who I am.
Yes.
Who, the fullness of who I am, the gift that I am.
Yes. Yes, and that brings me to an energy we spoke to yesterday, as you were saying something also like perceiving, and I asked him, yes, but do you receive perceivings you are aware of, or the awareness you perceive, do you receive it? And that's going with this. When there is an acknowledgement, you can receive, but you don't really receive it, then it's not received, and then it cannot expand. And is it, Karina, what comes up now is it possible that here also the energy of acknowledgement is the same or seen as the same as validation for this reality, as we are looking for validation instead of just receiving the acknowledgement?
I would agree from this reality's perspective. It probably is receiving
Acknowledging.
acknowledging is the same. Yeah, I don't think there is a difference between valuing and acknowledging.
Yeah.
Acknowledging for me goes almost deeper, because in some level it has to do with me. I acknowledge what's going on for me. And valuing, if I just look at the word, there is a judgment involved. And for me, energetically, there is a judgment involved. And I started out with saying true receiving has no judgment.
Yeah, receiving has no judgment. And at the same time, questioning directly for me, what is valuing me? Nowadays, lately, it is going more in being congruent also with everything of me. The more I'm willing to gift me to me, receiving myself, I acknowledge the value of me. Not from making it important, not of making it significant. It is a true acknowledgement as not longer choosing to diminish myself or making myself smaller, or really getting getting the value without a number, without a definition. Yeah, it's also there is so much changing in every word nearly, as going with that receiving energy really for me is a game changer in every way, as receiving, getting also the true receiving, getting more and more and more, as yeah, no
What
words.
I just got, what popped for me is how much are we going into polarity with there are aspects of us that are good and aspects of us that are not good.
Oh, I
And
don't know that.
valuing usually goes along with the so-called good aspects. And
Yeah.
receiving is everything across the board.
Yeah, and how much is still receiving also more of this reality aspects and other realities aspects, still not really true receiving, how much receiving is still taking, as from that polarity you speak to, is so much more. And I acknowledge for myself that there is so much still, yeah, giving and taking instead of gifting and receiving. It is different. It is
It's
different.
different. And at the same time, the differences can become very subtle.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And that is the refined thing that opened up lately. There is so much more possible now. There is so much more to receive because of so many layers are crumbling down. So many mist is taking off of the most refined aspect from which we lived for years and years and years and years and years. So and up till now, what it is, since I came across with access consciousness and receiving the tools they give us, everything changed, as it is all the layers that are really loud and clear and obvious, they go with a kind of ease. They go fast, looks like. Because when you enter the refined network, then the fun starts, as though for me, the fun started, because I chose also to have fun with it, not making it significant. But then it starts to reveal in which way we really make ourselves small and invisible and not worthy and wrong and whatever we do there. Even it looks like, yes, but I receive myself so much more. I am so much more of me. I am this. Where I am now was like, oh, hell, what did I believe at that time? That it was the me already. As now, where I'm now, is wow, how much more there is, because I'm starting to have and be more of me. So yes, I'm so happy for the time is coming to explore, and exciting. It's an exciting time now. However, a lot of people hearing saying me this, it's an exciting time, could be that they say, are you crazy? Do you believe this is exciting? And yeah, it is an exciting time for me. I'm not sure how you are in this period of time, if it is fun for you also or not. I'm not sure.
It actually, for me, thanks for asking that. Um, it definitely is interesting. And interesting always leads to new discoveries for me. And that is fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's really, I mean, they say it's a curse, may you live in interesting times. But if times are not interesting, it could get boring pretty quickly.
That's Karina, as I see it for me, for myself now, it's the life I had before, where I'm now, that was the boring time. There was not that much interesting in that
Yeah.
time. Even I'm speaking now to this lifetime where I'm in this body, and now it starts to really becoming interesting. And as you say, that that exploration of that curiosity, what is there, what is that, going, that is a fun part. That is a really
Mhm.
fun part. Yes.
Yeah. And it's also, from my perspective, you know, the the curiosity gets fed by being willing to look from different angles at
Mm-hmm.
something. I
Yeah.
mean, usually we tend to look this way, you know, just to for starting the conversation. But what if I look from this way and that way and from the top and from the bottom? I mean, things have shapes.
Yeah.
And how can I discover the shape if I'm only willing to look from one direction?
Yeah. And that is the interesting thing, as the that direction, that pointing out always in the same direction, from the same, yeah, the same direction to the same direction. It's one way ticket
Yeah.
only. It's the more everything of matrix is crumbling down, time is crumbling down, and that linearity is crumbling down. So we have also more possibilities to go in every way and have an interesting view, and being interested with so much more ease, as I can remember my wakening up, yeah, more or less 25 years ago. So I waited a long time to start to wake up, but then it was still wakening up in that, yeah, one way direction, in a matter of speaking, since now explosively faster, since this curse on earth, as some would call it, this period of no choice, as many believe. Now everything is so much more ease and fun, as going with that interesting travel exploration. It's like you can turn 360 degrees every day again, and it
Mhm.
looks as though I experience one day now as in the time period we know as 24 hours a day. So one day for me in experience, it's more like a sense of one day is at least a week if it's not a month, because of the space and the vastness, everything we can receive if we want to receive, of course.
And is it so much longer because we're choosing to be fully present?
Yeah. And it's not really longer. I say it looks like a month. It's not that month in time as it is the boring time will not go on and I'm sitting here. No, it's because it's bang, 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 bang,
Yeah.
interest, 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 bang, bang, bang. And it changes. It changes and it changes and it changes and it expands and expands and expands and expands as though as we start. Yeah, what did we spoke about yesterday? I can't even remember what I spoke to 10 minutes ago as it is so fast. And that is what I mentioned with it the senses of what are you talking about yesterday? That is a month ago. That sense of
And that's
going
what I meant
faster.
with we
Yeah.
are so much more present
Yes.
that the day in a sense that becomes longer, because I may have been present for a few minutes here and a few minutes there, and otherwise I was running on autopilot,
Yes.
not noticing. And that is shifting, so it seemingly becomes more intense, longer, etc. And the interesting thing for me, what just popped, is I said being present. And how much do we have the conclusion that if I'm truly present with something, then I have to remember that? And we both talked about not remembering what we said 5 minutes ago. And yet, is that because we are truly present? Because we're not slicing out a tiny little fraction of the day that we then can remember? We have so many pieces of the day. And at that point, we don't remember. And we don't remember because we don't need to remember.
Yes. That's we don't require to remember, and at the same time we remember because we are aware of the energy. So it is still in our world. It is still present, but being present also with the energies, being present in your life is not the same as focus. As it looked like you learned also when you are focusing, then you are present with that. That's how we learned it. Where in truth, being present is not being fixed on one point. That's not the same, because being present can be, you can be present and aware of so many realities and so many things at the same time. Not making it significant, not making it important, not making it relevant, as though you don't have to diminish yourself because you concluded, now I have to do something with that. And that was something I did for a long time with awareness. When I came aware of something, I started to diminish myself, to focus myself on one thing I picked out because that was the loudest at that time. And then believing, thinking, concluding that I had to do something with it, or it was fixing or changing or getting a solution or whatever it was.
Yeah.
that's not really being present. Because is it for you as it is for me when I'm really present with everything? Then there is ease with allowance.
That, and the image that just came for me with being present is a broadband activity.
Yeah.
Not a single station, but a broadband activity.
And is that earth really showing us also, as there is so much going on earth, but all over the world? It's not of focusing here, focusing there, focusing here, there, there. No, it is present with everything, everywhere. And is it acting on what it knows it is required to go with? Because isn't it? Yeah, go.
And what if different things are required in different parts of the earth?
Yeah.
That there is not one single thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That was what I wanted to say also.
Oh,
it's not only on no, you are not aware of my thoughts, Karina.
No.
It is not possible. You can't be aware of that. But it is in a similar way. No, also the earth requires, but in conjunction or in communion with the people living in that place. As there are people more in allowance, more open to receive, more open to go with the flow, and you can name it whatever you want to name it. But there is also a difference in land and people living on that land, and the limitations they function from, if it is culture or color, or it doesn't matter. It is this thing got me out also by being present. It got me out of the urge to change things that I perceived were possible or are possible. And then Karina goes out, I'm not sure. And there is Karina again. I didn't saw you. I thought you were out. So it is also there when you are present, there is more allowance with ease. There is allowance with ease. And at the same time, you have as immediately effects also more awareness of what is required, of what is hearable, of what is receivable due to the persons you are at a time in a conversation, or whatever you are in a situation. Being present is, as you mentioned it, that broadcasting system. And when there is so much possible, how is it possible to make only one thing important, only one thing relevant? Because when you are present, there is so much more. So it is also the ease of not going into the judgment, the conclusions, the expectations, the projections, because you know there is so much more, and it doesn't make sense to pick out one thing and go with that and make it all about that and make that important and relevant and whatever we do with things. So yeah. And that automatic pilot you spoke to also brought me, and that automatic pilot, it does not bring us in any way possible to being present, because automatic is what it is automatically. You don't have to be aware of nothing. It is all done for you. And is that what so many people love also still. I can't imagine because it doesn't work for me. And at the same time, by being present, I am aware of that there is a lot of people loving the automatic pilot, loving that anyone, everyone, and anything takes it over from them.
What if there is one thing that I'm keenly aware of is people do not like change. An automatic pilot is actually creating a sameness.
Yeah, yeah,
So by being on autopilot, I can have the same day over and over and over. It's called Groundhog Day here in the US.
yeah. But how many people go with that because they have a sense of being secure, having a sense of being protected, having a sense of
Yeah.
knowing what they have to do, as though going with that is the knowing. That is the knowing. The autopilot is the knowing. The autopilot knows what to do, where to go to, what, and it's far
But
from that. But
that's not knowing. That
no,
is the using your brain or your mind to know.
yeah,
Knowing in a true sense is actually being present.
that's that, and that's the mixture of, as we use words, as
Yeah.
to discover also of what is the true difference
Yeah.
when we are going with that, what we learned and what we truly know in this case about this and this and this. What is it for me? As we all have different vibration, different
Mhm.
frequencies,
Yeah.
even the frequency for you with water or frequency for you with gold or money or whatever it is different than for me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it can be different all the time
Yeah.
for the same person.
Doesn't
So
have to be static.
that and that autopilot, as I speak, it is believing also that knowing which is not knowing, but that is the thing that will keep you on going and that allows you to survive. Because isn't it that what we did for so long, surviving instead of living?
And it also, okay, sorry, the train left the station without me on it. There was something that
Yeah. An
popped
energy that
in
is
and
vibrating,
popped
perhaps
out.
it can help you. It's the energy vibrating still I can perceive is that one, as the autopilot is so far away from you, it's you don't receive anything of you because you go in a distance with yourself and you let others and everything guiding you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, Karina, even receiving, gifting and receiving myself to myself, receiving myself, it is starting to open up what it can be. It's not that I already know what it is. I'm in the exploring
Mhm.
journey of gifting and receiving me to myself. And it's an interesting journey. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And the image that just came for me is uh, how many people would have liked to be the explorer when we had so many white spots on the globe? And that is basically what we're doing is we're
Yes.
exploring all those white spots in our being,
Yeah.
in our
Yeah.
personal landscape.
Yeah. Yeah. And this discovering trip is also becoming so clear on how many lives, perhaps all lives, everything is a lie from which we lived before, as we can now start to receive also what is true for us, not of what us is said, learned, what is true for us. And it requires an expanded vision, an expanded exploration, as though we can come across of things that we never heard before, we never learned before. Still, there is something catching us as though, what is that? And that's from the interesting point, the exploration that can bring us to a whole new way of going with things and looking at things and coming out of all those definitions and limited visions also. Yeah. It's an interesting time, Karina. It is an interesting time.
It absolutely is. And, I wouldn't have it any other way.
I can say yes to that also.
Yeah.
It is. I love my life so much more. I have so much more ease, even though, as so many people say, there is no ease. It is all frustrating. It is blah, 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 blah. Yes, I can say honestly, sincerely is, and not making it significant because I'm open to change every day again, but the ease, the joy there is now, that is my world. Yes, more of that, please. More of that.
Yeah.
And it is possible. It's not that we are so, perhaps we are weird species. Yes, we are. Okay. We are not going to discuss this. And it is also okay, Karina, for not everyone choosing those possibilities. They are now available. It's also okay for all those who are not choosing to have a more expanded way of going. It's also okay for so many people who are not interested in exploring the possibilities. It is all okay.
What if, what if it's okay to be who you truly are? And for some people, that means they really appreciate the sameness. And for some people, they are the adventurous and they like the discovery.
Yeah. And this lately is also, sorry, I interrupt you, but it's about that choosing to be and go with and sticking with what they know now. Even you and I can perceive that it is not, in truth, it is not truly them. They are so much more. That is a knowing, a perceiving, but there is no longer an urge to get them, to touch them and open them up for the idea that there are so many more. It is like you say, as though for them it is who they are, and that's okay.
Yeah. And that is again, to bring it back, is what we talked about, getting out of the judgment.
Yeah.
How much has there been judgment if somebody was not fitting in? Mm-hmm. And what if nobody fits in because it's impossible?
There is nothing. There is nothing to fit in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not fitting in. Making that requirement is not honoring the person, who the person truly is.
So true. So true. Yeah. And it is by coming out of the judgment, which I still have a lot of judgment. I'm aware of that also, and discovering all where I'm judging and still
Mhm.
controlling and going with definitions, but having fun with that, having fun because finally, not any time any longer, not once I have to make myself wrong.
You mean you don't have to judge your judgment?
I don't have to judge my judgment. I can be present with my judgment. I can be in allowance with my judgment. Even gratitude. I can be in gratitude for that judgment. And
And not
by
make it
being that
significant.
and not making it significant, and by being that in that way, it already changes
Yeah,
because then it melts into possibilities.
yeah,
It melts into expansion. It melts into consciousness. There is so
yeah,
much in it there. Yeah.
yeah,
And how much more ease is that? Not requiring to judge any longer.
yeah.
Letting go of our needy. Oh, that's a nice topic for the next time, perhaps. We will see what comes up, but the needy thing. Oh, wow.
As
Yes.
as we continue to explore what is our next exploration, which probably will end up with the next week's
This,
theme.
this, but because it was so loud, it grabbed me. And most of the time when it really pings me, it is something, what if you would explore that a little more, how it
Yeah,
is in your world? So, yeah, the needy
yeah,
thing. Thank you, consciousness. And that's the not linearity of becoming clear on things. And that's the 360 degrees we can go and turn around in. So, yes, how does
yeah.
it get any better than this? Wow. Oh, wow, Karina.
Instead of, to use the analogy that we had before, instead of just using looking this
Yes.
way, what's behind us
Yeah.
or next to us? Any of
Yeah.
the 360
Or
angle,
even 5 centimeters in an angle
five
of five
degrees off.
centimeters
Yeah,
is, yeah. Yeah.
to explore any of that. Yeah.
We will see. Time
Yep.
flies, Korea. We have to go.
Everybody take care. See you next week.
Bye
And I look
bye.
forward to exploring with you on Monday.
Yes, we will
Yeah,
see. Bye bye.